Welcome, everyone, to the 7 C's of Leadership with Success with Claudine Pereira. Sorry, my name is Hannah Stojanowski, your local mortgage agent. Quick bit about me. For those that don't know me, I've been in the mortgage industry almost over 22 years now. I'm still 22 years old, so it's really hard to say. And I really have a passion for helping clients achieve their dreams of home ownership. We are the proud winners for 6 years now of the Diamond Ajax Pickering Reader's Choice Awards for Best Mortgage Agent. So I'm really grateful for that in our community here. And why choose mortgages with Hannah? We have ongoing support and consultation. I say in my creepiest supportive voice, I'm never leaving you. I'm here for all your mortgage questions forever. It's my job to make sure you're getting the best rates and terms. You save time with one-stop shopping. Y'all work full-time jobs. I'm happy to do all the groundwork for you. We negotiate on your behalf, between our top 20 to 30 lenders. We get the best deal for you. A lot of people don't know this. I should probably move this to number one, but there's no cost to you for a mortgage agent. It's like a myth that they're only for the wealthy or people that are going to pay fees. That is not true. The only time we charge fees is in private lending, which is very few and far between. Things move quickly. I work full time to move this along for you and meet all your deadlines. Get independent advice on your financial options and expert advice. Like I said, I've been doing this more than I've not been doing this. I'm at that point in my life. And more choice means more competitive rates. So that's a quick blurb about us. Now my wonderful, wonderful business coach. And I'm not sure if I could fit all this on one slide, but I'll give you a synopsis anyways. Claudine Pereira is an experienced professional business coach and leadership development trainer. Claudine assists people with fundamental behavioral change. Her consistent and captivating approach stretches her clients to move beyond a limiting sense of self and achieve their desired personal and professional goals. An inspirational speaker, certified life coach, and internationally best-selling co-author of Live Out Loud, Claudine is passionate about her work. I'm going to put in my own personal 2 cents now. I have been in business. It'll be 10 years this March, and Claudine has been my business coach for 9 of those years. I wouldn't be where I was today. My parents and I are eternally grateful for you, my coach. Okay, I'm going to exit out of this screen now and try to shimmy over to the PowerPoint. Bear with me. Can everyone see Claudine's presentation okay? Perfect. Over to you, Coach.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Hannah. You're very dear to me, very special. And so is mom and dad, my mom and dad. Welcome everybody. Thank you for coming today. I feel very honored to be here as always. And Hannah made a mention at the beginning that I typically kick off January sessions for her Lunch and Learn. So I've forgotten all about that. So here we are. It's January. So let's do this. So in the next sort of 45 minutes or so, or maybe 40 minutes, I'll try and condense it. We're going to talk about something called the 7 C's of leadership. So as Hannah said at the beginning, that 7 C's, they are actual words that begin with a C, but leadership and being in business, as you probably can imagine, and I know we have a mix here of leaders and business owners, so I'm going to sort of address both in that one leadership category. And being in business and being a leader is like the rolling C's. And so this is where that sort of was born, so to speak. Click, let's get going. So my Vanna White is Hannah. So when you hear me say click, it's my little click. So picture this. I was about 13 years old, living in England. And we've got some Brits on the call. And it was very foggy like today is outside. This was England all the time, pretty much. So I was living, with my grandparents, and I was a very shy child, believe it or not. You might not believe that, but I was quite shy and very, I didn't have a voice. I lacked a lot of confidence, grew up in a house with lots of conflict. And I used to watch any Dallas or Dynasty fans in the house. I can't see who's raising, but maybe you can throw it in the chat. So I was addicted. So Dallas and Dynasty were my two go-to shows other than Coronation Street. And I fell in love with Joan Collins and Linda Evans, the eternal leaders, and even Joan Collins now as a read. If you want a junk book read her book called Behind the Shoulder Pads. Diane says she loved both. Love both. So her book Behind the Shoulder Pads, she's 98, 90 something now, 92, going strong still. And she is, as a leader to me, now I understand what leadership is. Back then I had no idea. She's a trailblazer. So I really watched Dallas and Dynasty a lot. And I would sit there as a 13-year-old and sort of dream about the American dream, this American dream. I don't know, Joe, if you'd had that when you were growing up back home, but I really dreamt about, walking with my parcels. You'd see them having these parcels, these bags with like little, dresses and clothes and having dinners. And like, I was just in love with it all. And I was in love with Bobby Ewing. He was always my favorite. Bobby was just, so handsome. He's still very handsome now. So fast forward to, I was still 13. My mother threw me into dancing school at Moe's Place in Reading in England. And some of you have heard about my Moe's Place dancing years. It really opened me up. And that was the reason I'm talking about this is that, number one, my dream came true. I am living the North American dream. And number two is my leadership journey really started at Moe's Place when I was 13 years old and I found my voice. Click. So here's some pictures of my early days in leadership. So obviously in the dance world, many of you know Igor. So Igor was my dance partner before COVID, and we were quite often on that number one podium a lot. And he's Russian and his wife's Russian, and she gives me my lessons, and she's an amazing leader in the dance world and beat me up on a regular basis. So we were always winning because there's no such thing as failing in the Russian culture. So dance was really my start of my leadership journey. I didn't realize it. I had no idea what that was, but people would look up to me in the dance world, and I became that sort of trailblazer. And then when I was working at the bank, as you can see, there's some pictures here, the one in the left-hand corner, I was very young. I was a young leader, very green, 23 years old. And it was my first job. I literally left Canada when I was 23. I had no job. I lived with my dad, and I think I had like $150 in my pocket. And TD was my very first job in the May of that year when I was fresh off of the boat from England. And my leadership journey began. So, and again, I didn't really understand that. Back then, it was more about the boss and manager culture. It wasn't about leadership. It was really about managing people. And that was it didn't fit for me. So, people have always been my passion. And that's, again, my second step of my leadership journey began when I was at the bank. So, really what I wanted just to start out with saying here is that no matter what you're doing in your life, and we've got lots of different businesses here, you can lead. You don't need a title to be a leader, right? Sometimes it's about it, it's a choice, right? And I choose to be a leader. It's not about having a title or an authority or I'm the big boss and here's my little minions down here. It's about getting better. Every day I show up for my work, that's day one of leadership. And there's a really good book, which is on my shelf. I'll have to grab it after. Probably Joe might know it. It's got a yellow cover and it talks about day one of leadership. So every day I show up is always my first day as a leader, because I like to put myself in check in terms of getting better, right? We must keep getting better. We must keep getting better. Click. So my mission in life now is to create leaders in my clients. So whether you are a business owner or whether you are leading a team, it is my mission, and I don't say this a lot, but it is my underpinning mission to take you down that leadership journey. It's to create leaders without a title, and it's to create leaders in business. And this is why, and this is not to boast, but I will boast for a split second, is why my clients, and a lot of you know who they are, and there's a lot of you here today, you crazy people wanting to hear me flap my gums again. But the reason you guys stand out is because you are leading. You are leading, and I call it leading in the dark. You're leading from behind. You're not going out and going, hey, I'm a leader, but you are doing things that are naturally innate in you that make you stand out as a leader. And can you only imagine our world if everybody was doing this, right? just imagine that our world, if everybody was thinking like a leader and inspiring people from that leadership standpoint, would be amazing. So this quote I love. This is the former First Lady of the States, Rosalind Carter, about leadership. So anyway, jump on the journey. The 7 C's was born. I'll tell you a little secret. Actually, it is a secret because I don't think I've told many of you. Is I'm writing a book, and it's going to be, God willing, published in August of this year in time for my 10-year anniversary in business. And it's called The 7 C's of Leadership. So you are getting like a little snippet of what you're going to get in the book. It's going to be a nice, tidy little small book that you can carry around with you, earmark pages and things that you can share with your teams and with your kids. Doesn't matter who, right? Leadership, again, as I said, is a choice. And it's something that I've chosen to do in my life. And when I was piecing this together, you know, the whole 7 C's, and I had watched Castaway. Everyone's watched, I'm assuming most people have watched the film Castaway with Tom Hanks. If you haven't, it's a great inspirational movie. I remember the first time I watched it, I must have not been in a good headspace because I found it very depressing. But when I rewatched it, as I was starting to write my book and piece together this presentation, I'm like, oh my God, my husband's like, what are you doing? And I'm writing notes, and I'm like, got papers everywhere, because this whole movie was screaming leadership to me. So go back and watch it. That's a homework. There's always homework. And see if you see any undertones, or you can remember as I'm sort of going through this. So he doesn't need a title to lead, but so many things in that movie screamed leadership. And so I've kind of used some of the segments and pictures from the video to sort of explain my methods in my madness. And what you could do in the chat, if you feel so compelled, is to add some other words for leadership. They can begin with a C, they can begin with other letters, and we can have more in the chat. And also, too, on a scale of 1 to 10, you can just rate in there. You know, how comfortable do you feel with leadership? Is it something that you're like, you know, a 10 in and you're really like, yeah, leadership, I love it, or something that you need to continue to work on, maybe a 5 or a 6? And there's no judgment here. We are in Vegas. All right, click. So the first, excuse me, I don't know if you remember, for those of you that have seen the film, the first C is credibility. So obviously I'm not going to read the quotes and what's on the screen. You're able to do that. But credibility, and why do you think we need credibility in business? If you want to throw some of that in the chat, please go ahead. But whether you are a leader in an organization or you are a leader in business, we need to have credibility. And why is that? Right? So it's basically, it's what I love about the film here is that he was doing math on the wall, right? He's credible because he's figuring out how he's going to get off the island to the other side. So there's credibility in his work. He was calculating the waves and, you know, the times and the tides and so on. So all like us in our work and what we're all doing, we need to have some credibility. Right, we need to have, like Hannah, you know, everyone will go to Hannah that knows Hannah and loves Hannah, and will go back and work with her again because she's got credibility. We know she's great at her job. She's good at what she's doing. She's going to get you the best rate. And so she is very, very credible in her business. So that's, to me, is the first C in leadership. There's not one more important than the other, but all of us, especially in leadership and business, we want to make sure that things like, you know, our social media or what we're saying, you know, we can speak sensibly to our craft. Whether you're a realtor, you know, you want to have that credibility so someone can put their trust in you and come and buy from you, or they want to be on your team. So there's that credibility piece. It's very, very important. And, you know, I've seen it in business, and probably you have too, on social media. You know, it's about your brand. I mean, this can go many directions. Credibility and your brand and how you show up online. You know, you've seen those people on Facebook that are crying in their soup about something, or being negative, or putting down another business. Again, you lose credibility just in that split second. And we've seen it. We've seen it with people. We've seen it in business. We've seen it with, you know, companies. They can just say one thing and boom. Remember Tiger Woods, right? He was up there 1 minute, great leader in his craft, everything he was doing, and he did that one stupid thing. credibility is gone. So first step is credibility. So we really want to make sure that as leaders that we are credible. Click. Second is creativity. And I'm not the most creative person. I know a lot of you guys are. You're great creatives. I really have to dig into it, but really creativity. So he in the film here, he's trying to get off the island. And he's trying to figure out. He's looking for something. So again, he was there in this desert island, and he had no idea how he was going to get off. So the creativity in his work to try and get off, he's trying to build this. Remember that raft thing that he built, and so he was being creative as a leader to get the heck out of there. So one of the things I just wanted to to say to you today in your work is, what are you doing in terms of being creative in your business or as a leader? What are we doing outside of the box? Right? What are we doing about, stepping outside of our comfort zone and being creative in our work? What can we do differently in our brand to show up when we have many realtors, we have many mortgage agents? What are you doing to be creative in that? Right? And when you have a problem, right? When we had COVID, nobody was prepared for COVID. And so we're all scrambling and, no one had a plan of action. So right now, what are we doing to be creative and create that plan so that if we have the next crisis, we are prepared? What are you doing when you have a problem? How can you be more nimble and agile when you have to face a challenge? And what can you do to be more creative in your work and how you show up? So that is number 2 for me, again, in no particular order, is that creativity. What are you going to do if you have a team like Caitlin has a team? How are you going to keep them fresh? How are you going to keep them engaged? How are you going to, reward them? What are you going to do to plan, events or, promotions to get your sales up? So creativity can take on many, many forms. And that's just something for us to think about as we show up as leaders, is that creativity aspect. Okay, click. Okay, number 3, courage. Anybody scared here? I'm still scared 10 years in, and I still have my fearful days. I'll be very honest with you. It never really goes away. I ran into my absolute fave, Arlene Dickinson from the Dragon's Den. She was sitting in a restaurant opposite me, and I knew it was her. Here's the picture. I'm going to show you just to prove it. I love her. She's from the Dragon's Den. So I said, I got to take a picture of you. You're just my hero. And when I first started business, I really gravitated to her book. Here's a second reading homework for you. It's called, oh my gosh, Persuasion and All In. And I said to her that day in the restaurant, I said, in my dark days when I first started business, in the first couple of years when nothing was happening and I wasn't making any revenue and I didn't know what I was doing, I said, I would read your books and your stories about how your father kicked you off the couch with 4 kids, and she started laughing. And I said, you really made such an impact in my life. She's a very courageous woman, and I really do look up to her. So courage, courage in what you're doing, courage as a leader, courage to show up, courage to give feedback to your teams, courage to just show up like we're showing up today. It all takes courage. And that is part of leadership, is to be that trailblazer. So people see you and go, okay, you know what, that if they can do it, and I can do it. So just like here, he was up high. In the movie, he said, oh, he was looking for like a piece of like rope or flexi cord or something, and it was up this big rock that he had to climb, and he kept looking at it and saying, I don't think I can do it. No, I can't do it. He's talking himself into it, but he had to do it, because if he didn't step out of his comfort zone, guess what? Nothing was going to happen. We are all scared. I don't care how long you've been in business. There was always that little bit of fear that, it's all going to go away one day. But if we stay inside of our comfort zone, if we stay in the box, as well as I do, that nothing's really going to happen. Nothing's going to change. And we're just going to get the same old thing that we've been doing for this, for years on end. So I encourage you today as a leader, and your leadership journey is to do the things that scare you, right? Do the things that are outside of the box. Go to the places that make you very, very scared. And really, Hannah and I heard this, T.D. Jakes, he's an American preacher. He said, disrupt your thinking. And he said it way more passionate than I'm saying it, but he says, disrupt your thinking. that's courage. You've got to think differently. You've got to change. You've got to continue learning, and you've got to keep planning, and you've got to, go to those scary places when you sometimes don't have the courage to do it. And that's leadership. That's showing up. Many a time in my early leadership days, I was always given the task. My VPs at the time always said to me, we're going to get Pereira to do it because, she can make any crappy message sound like gold. Because of the accent and obviously how I have a way with people, they would always throw me out in front of the teams to say, okay, we've got this crappy message we want you to deliver, or this change, and Pereira's going to do it. Now, was I scared? All the time. But I'd have to figure out a way of how to do it because I'm a leader. Now, I didn't know that back then, right? Now I know. I'm like, that's why I was so successful, God willing, and God, thanks to God. But I was successful because I was a leader and I loved it and I worked at it because I did the things that were hard, like giving those difficult messages or difficult feedback to people on my team that had body odor, or, you may laugh, but they were hard conversations to have. And as a young leader, I was petrified. But again, if it was me, I would want someone to tell me if I had something stuck in my teeth, right? So, and if you ask yourself the question, when did you grow? We've all grown, I'm sure. We've all got stories on here. We've gone through good times, tough times. Did you ever grow in the good times? Maybe. But did you ever grow? Catherine's like, oh, maybe. Did you grow in the times where it was tough and you went through the 7 C's? Because it's going to be a journey, right? Whether in business and life in general. And so that's what I'm encouraging you to do, is to really think about those tough times and have courage and do the things that scare you, right? Do the things that scare you. Okay. Where are we now? Number 4. Okay. So he was scared, right? Compassion for himself, compassion for, this is a scene where he was talking to Wilson, the ball that he put the face on. That was his buddy, right? And he was in pain. Wilson was in pain, even though he was a thing. But he said to Wilson, "Are you scared?" And Wilson obviously didn't reply. And he says, "I'm scared too," right? And we're all scared still. But compassion as a leader, and this is huge. This is a huge piece. This could be a presentation all on its own about compassion in life, compassion in general, compassion to people, your teams. We're dealing with, as I said at the beginning before we were recording, today is Bell Canada Let's Talk Day, which is highlighting, mental illness, which I'm sure if I asked you, each one of you individually, do you know somebody that's going through a journey in mental health? You're probably going to go, yeah, I know several people, and maybe including myself. Maybe I'm still struggling with some mental illness or unsolved traumas in my life. So I think this is everything is important in leadership, but if you are compassionate, I tell you what, you can get anyone to do anything. You could be firm and you've got to direct them to do results or sell or whatever it is you're getting them to do, but compassion, right? So compassion for yourself, first and foremost, and what you're going through, to be kind to yourself, but also compassion to others. Right? So if you want others to be happy, I love this quote. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion, right? So it's looking beyond your pain to see other people's pain, because lots of people, like, life changes on a dime, right? Life changes on a dime. Our lives changed. My life changed last year with my breast cancer diagnosis. I'll never be the same again. But I tell you what, I've grown in that tough time, because now I'm enjoying life even more than I was before, if that's even possible, because it made mortality feel very real to me. But I have compassion for myself also too, to go, it's okay. Yes, I'm a superwoman, but I'm having compassion for myself. So life can change on a dime. So we want to be compassionate. We want to be the empathetic leader in business, the empathetic leader to our clients, the empathetic leader to our teams, to our friends, to our neighbors, to somebody that we know might be suffering. It's the best way, actually, that you can take your mind off your problems if you start to focus on someone else that's got a problem. It's like magic, really, right? If I'm having a problem, I just make sure I'm taking care of myself, obviously, first and foremost, but take somebody else under your wing. You're stronger than you think, that's for sure. So your employees will be your greatest advocates in leadership, right? They're going to say, she's so compassionate, she's empathetic, she listened. If you have teams here as a business owner, but compassion, I think, just in general, if we're all scared, and if everybody in the world was more compassionate, we wouldn't have half the problems we're having right now. So compassion. Okay, number 5. So click. Where are we? Communication. So this is the part where he got to the other side of the island. He's talking to Wilson to say, we did it. I think we did it. And I love this quote about communication from George Bernard Shaw, because we all think we're great communicators and great listeners, but really it is an illusion. Sometimes we've communicated a great message, but we have not. So we want to make sure that, excuse me, that you have a clear vision, whether you're in business or you have teams. We want to ensure that we communicate a very clear vision. He had a clear vision on that island. He had to get off of it. He knew where he wanted to go. He just wasn't sure how he was going to get there. So you want to set goals. You want to set accountability for your teams, whether you have a small business or not, it doesn't matter. Your vision still matters. Even if you're on your own, make sure that you have a clear vision and you stick to it. Why are you doing what you're doing? And if you do have teams, make sure that you translate that down. Some of the things that I hear that, in business, when people are not doing their results, or getting the results that you want them to get, are they really clear on your vision? Are they clear on that top down vision? So communicate. I don't think that you can ever over communicate. I think we need more of it. We need to be over communicating, and especially when we're hiring, making sure everyone understands what it is that they're going to be doing in the workplace, and then empower your team, empower them, and then let them just go to it. Communicate, and then take a step back and just let them go to it. Last year, England won the World Cup in rugby, and I watched a video of them all on the bus after, on the coach. They were all laughing and drinking and jumping up and down. And the captain of the rugby team, someone said to him, what was your secret? He said, well, I set them some goals. He communicated to them. He had a culture of communication on the team. I empowered them. He said, then I just let them go to it and shine, and they were shining, right? Basically, in a nutshell. He said it better than that, but he empowered them to want to do a good job. So communication is a big piece. And even when you're at home, right? We think we're communicating to our spouse, but are we really? Are we really getting a clear message across as leaders in general? When we're speaking, what are we really saying? So we want to make sure that we crisp up our communication and do a really good job of making sure that we spell out that message. And I'll just say this too, and this is not a C word, but as a leader, just in general, in business or with each other, is to be honest, right? Honesty and transparency as a leader is really huge. And I think that sometimes we're afraid to give that message to somebody on our team, or a fellow business owner that, we might see them be doing something crazy online and they're afraid to say something. But I say that you be that trailblazer and that leader and speak up, right? That's leadership. Like if I see one of my clients and they put something up on social that is not appropriate, I will get on the phone and I'll call them. And I haven't done that in a very long time, because these guys don't do anything silly. We do silly stuff, but not that. But I would say take it down, because that's your image, that's your brand. So, honesty and transparency as a leader, people will appreciate your honesty. Many a conversation I used to have back in my leadership days at the bank, people from other teams would come and sit in my office and say, can I get your advice on something? And I said, absolutely. So I became a bit of a mentor, right? So, and to this day, I can't believe it. 20 years later, people will write to me. One girl wrote to me on LinkedIn and she says, I don't know if you remember me, but she said, one time you gave me, I wasn't on your team, I was working the night shift under so-and-so, but you gave me this really good piece of advice about childcare and blah, 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 blah. And I took it, and here's how my life has turned out. I'm like, good Lord, I had no idea. But she heard me. I was communicating something to her. And it just happened the other day. Yes, absolutely. Honesty and transparency will also speak to your credibility, Sandra. You are 1,000% right. It's all interchanged. And this is so important in business, because we think people are not watching, but they are watching. And sometimes we hear, I hear, I'm on social and some people are not watching me. people are paying attention and watching. Like this young lady, she never follows, she didn't like anything on my social, but she just popped up on LinkedIn out of nowhere because she's had some success and she just wanted to say thank you. So people are watching you all the time. It's almost like being on the dance stage or on a stage. People are watching and they're listening. When we even think that they're not, they are watching and they're listening, and they're shoving that in their back pocket for later. And I've got two examples on this call of a couple people that have been watching. They were watching me in my journey. People watch my clients and go, I wanted some of that. Again, because we have that polish, we have that leadership. I have a stalker on this call as well. If she's still on here, I won't identify her to embarrass her, but she's a stalker. And she's like trying to raise her hand. So she stalked me for 8 years. She never liked my stuff. It's not that I can remember. We have a million connections in common. I worked in one area of the bank. She worked in the other. And we had people in common, but we didn't know each other. And she stalked me for 8 years. So, that credibility, I know I've gone a little bit backwards here, but the credibility and the communication and, how you show up as a leader, people won't forget. What's that Maya Angelou quote about people will never forget how you make them feel, something like that? They really won't. And I've proved it over and over and over. You can't lose with everything that you're doing in your life right now. If you adopt a leader's mindset, you will not lose. You won't. You are on the path to success if you just even implement a few of these pieces. And you don't, again, need to run around going, I'm Claudine Pereira, I'm a leader. No, it's that feeling. It's that choice. I choose to lead. I choose to be that leader every single day when I wake up. Okay, next. Click. Customer. Oh, such an important one. Again, this could be a whole thing here about customer experience. So this package that he opened up on the island was sent by this lady. And anyway, it was a cute stuff. He made sure he went back and delivered it to her doorstep. I think it's a huge piece, right? And, we need to be close to our customers. We need to, again, leadership. And when you look, even Hannah has the greatest customer experience. Everybody writes such amazing things about her because she really takes care of her customers. She's not substandard. She's not sloppy. The customer experience is key in her business, and mine too. It's number one, and it's critical. It's critical to whatever it is that you're doing, that you give a really great customer experience. Now, if you have employees, they're your customers. They're going to make you look really, really good, right? So you want to treat them well. Your customers that are buying from you, treat them like gold. These are your gold. So he did this exemplary thing by dropping that package off at that lady's doorstep after all of this kerfuffle that he went through, coming off of the island. So the customer experience, I really feel now things are coming back to life, and we just heard that the interest rates are now stable, which is great news, means good times ahead. But the customer experience is going to be really critical over the next couple of years. I really think business is coming back to life now. People are coming back to life, and people, I don't know if you think this, but let me ask you this question. Do you think people pay more for better service? You can put it in the chat. You could just nod your head. You can, personally, I think they do. I would. I've always paid more money for better service. It's like the Tim Hortons versus Starbucks. I love Tim Hortons coffee. I'm not a fan of Starbucks coffee, to be honest. It's all right. But I like their egg bite thingies. And I like how I get treated when I go to Starbucks. So I will go to Starbucks to buy my egg bites and pay $8 plus tax for them. But I love all of their sweet stuff. So I will spend my money over there and then buy my husband his coffees there because he loves it. And you get a beautiful customer experience. You get your name written on the copy, albeit sometimes it's wrong. Whereas you go to Tim and it's expensive, right? We were there at the weekend and, bless, we had a lovely gift card to spend. Thank you. You are. It's very, very nice. We got one coffee and I got my egg bites and it was $18. But you know what? The service was amazing. So I really didn't think about it. And even if I had to pay for it, I would have still paid for it. I go to Tim Hortons, again, my favorite coffee. I'm like leaning over the counter to say, can I get a sleeve, please? Please, can I get a sleeve? Anyone relate? Can I get a sleeve? I feel like I'm asking for their firstborn child, asking for, can I get a sleeve? My lowest whisper, because you just feel like you're intruding. Seriously, can I get a bit of black pepper for that? Or can I get some ketchup? It's like, or can I get a napkin? Come on. So people will pay more for good service. It's been proven over and over and over again. They will pay more for good service. So have a think about what you can do to be a trailblazer and lead in the customer experience. And and there's many things that you can do. Like you can, that personalized touch of those thank you gifts, or if they're going through a hard time, reaching out on a personal level. Again, compassion, right? It's got to be real though. It's got to be really from the heart. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. But the customer is key. We're seeing such sloppy, substandard service these days. You go out for a meal and the service is terrible. I have to say, when Hannah and I were in the States last year for our conference in San Antonio, we had great service. Like everyone, they were like doing cartwheels around you to serve. They were just wonderful. And I'm like, wow, man, you come back to Toronto and it's like, everyone's like, humdrum. And I get it. Everyone's going through stuff. I'm not judging. All I'm saying is if you want to be in the service industry, you've got to put your stuff aside and you need to button it up and you need to get on with it. And you need to be like Snow White. Someone said to me, I was delivering this presentation, actually, the same one in person for a group at Desjardins. And one of the guys there said, Snow White never has a bad day. And it's true. As leaders, we need to be like Snow White. Imagine if you go to Disney and Snow White's in a mood and she's walking around going, man, this sucks. My life sucks. I got issues with my husband. I got issues. We've all got problems, don't we? We all do. And we know people that have problems. But at some point, you've got to put that stuff in a box and leave it at the door so you can just shut it out for a moment and be your best self. Because Snow White never has a bad day. I love that. I've been using it a lot. So, people will pay more for service, and moving away from that substandard sloppiness. The Ritz-Carlton, I used to go to Robin Sharma's at live events, and I love them all. I miss them dearly, but they used to at the Ritz de-seed the lemons. So, you go put a lemon in water, or you go squeeze a bit of lemon on some fish and the bloody seed pops out. Like, so annoying, isn't it? Little thing, but it's just like, they de-seeded the lemon wedges. So I want you to think about that. How are you going to de-seed your lemon wedges? What are you going to do as a leader in your business that is so exquisite to have put awe in your clients, right? What are you going to do to make it to de-seed those lemon wedges? What are you going to do? Okay, next, click. So change is the next one. And, change is hard, right? Hard at first, messy in the middle, gorgeous at the end. And so when he came back from the island, he'd become a different person, right? He got back and his wife or girlfriend had gone off and married the dentist. That didn't take her long. I don't think he was on the island that long. And she went off and she'd already got married and had a kid with the dentist. And so he came back and he had to change, right? We go through life changes, our health or things that are going on. We have to change. I can't hold on to the past. I'm not that person anymore. I'm now a new version of myself, and I quite like her. And so I had to change. Think about companies that don't change, or leaders that don't change, or businesses that don't change. They're doing the same old thing over and over and over and over, right? Unless you're McDonald's, even McDonald's had to change. McDonald's had to offer salads, right? They were leaders in the burger field. Like my favorite Happy Meal, a double hamburger, extra pickles and ketchup and mustard, and chips and nuggets. Hannah, don't say anything. I'm just going to give away my midnight snack secrets now, McDonald's. But they had to change, didn't they? They're leaders in what they do, but then they had to up their game when everybody started to get healthy. They're like, damn, no one wants milkshakes anymore. They want water. Dasani now, they put Dasani water in their thing. Or you can have a cheese slice with cheese string with your Happy Meal, or yogurt, or a salad. Whoever thought we were going to be getting salad at McDonald's? But when you think about it, like Blockbusters didn't want to change. So guess what happened to Blockbusters? Down they went. Beck taxis don't want to change. So Uber comes in. Guess what? Beck taxis are all mad now, but they've done nothing to change. They have smelly cabs, smelly drivers, and they're still expensive, and they don't want to change. So Uber has just swept them out. Sorry. We're not judging. I know. Sorry, Foley. I know. It's a treat. I have not had McDonald's since we came back from San Antonio, and they do taste different. Nuggets do taste different, and they have different sauces, and it's quite nice. But I haven't had it since we got back. That just reminds me that I probably have to treat myself. So Blockbuster, Netflix. Now, why is Netflix so? Everyone loves Netflix. So we have to change. We, as leaders, we need to keep changing and evolving, right? Next, click. And I would just say that leadership is like this image of plate spinners. Got a million balls up in the air all at once, doing this, doing that, got the kids, leading the team, leading my people, blah, 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 blah. But again, it's a personal choice. And, you know, to me, I think it's the right path. I think right now, more than ever, the world needs more leaders, right? It is a personal choice, and we don't need a title to lead. But as Hannah always says, you know, dedicate your life to serving others, right? And you know, Stephen Harper, whether you like politics or not, I did hear him speak. He was a terrible speaker. He was really boring and dry. Actually, the right honorable Stephen Harper, sorry. He says, before you can be a leader, first you need to be a servant. And I love that. Before you can be a leader, first you need to be a servant. So love him or hate him, I really like that. My coach, Judy, I think she signed up for today, but she's going to watch the recording. Hi, Judy. She's changed my life. I love her dearly. And she's not leaving me. You're not leaving me. She always says, you know, you got to own it and lead it. That's a Judaism. You got to own it and lead it. And I love that. And that's credibility. And I'll just say to that, you want to outproduce your industry. How can you outproduce your industry? You want to stand out like a sore thumb in the leadership world, in the networking world. You want to show up everywhere. So someone says, oh my God, I met you somewhere else. These are all the things I encourage my clients to do, and they're all doing it. They might not like doing it, and they're all scared, but they're doing it anyway. And guess what? They all stand out like sore thumbs. People can pick my clients out of a lineup. There's just something about them. So click. So just think about this in your own business. And again, you have to sort of adapt this to whatever you're doing. Like, what are you going to commit to, right? What are you going to commit to? What are the deliberate steps that you're going to take to sort of commit to this leadership journey, right? There's lots of books out there, great books on leadership. Robin Sharma has How to Lead with No Title. Rose Patton is a great one too. Rose Patton, The Intentional Leader, is a fantastic book. She's really great. There's many different ones that you can find and you can just gravitate to. John Maxwell actually has some good books on leadership as well. And then you just need to find your own way, your own style. Just be humble and kind, invest in yourself, invest in learning, and think #leadership. Okay, so we got a short video to show, and I think we have time, and then we can quickly open up for questions. Oh, yes, show the video, and then I want just to show that last slide. I have a present for everybody. A little present. Oh, it's not too bad. It's only 2 minutes.
I'm not sure if the volume is working, so you guys let me know. Let me check here.
While Hannah's doing that, I'll just say this. We had we have continuing education called Pink Coach University for my clients. And at the end of last year, Annie Goudreau was presenting. And she's a nutritionist. She's amazing, by the way. Follow her, Vive Wellness. And she had a quote, and I love this. She did the Ironman, crazy, like good for her though. And so she said, building a business is like training for the Ironman. You don't see results right away. So I just want to leave you with that too, because I think it was sometimes we want immediate results in everything, and it's a journey. We want to enjoy the journey, and things will happen. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
For this to be the single, you talk to most people and say, what's your favorite book? What needs to happen this year for this to be the single greatest year of your life? What happens on your best days to make you feel the fire, to make you have so much focus in a world of dramatic distraction, to help you outproduce your industry peers? Why are you healthy? What's your winning formula? What are the 5 best lessons of your life? What's the philosophy you bring to the leadership table? What does the next 100 years of your life look like? One of the things about the 95%, a lot of them are complaining, they're making excuses, they want epic lives, but they're stuck in the cult of superficiality. The top 5%, the titans, the icons, the A players, The world builders are very different. They are not about superficiality, they are all about granularity. If you look at the top 5%, they are all about de-seeding the lemon wedges. If you look at the top 5%, they're all about calibration. I really want you to think about leaving any form of superficiality in your understanding of your game, in your understanding of your sport, in your understanding of your industry, in your understanding of what makes peak vitality, in your understanding of productivity, in your understanding of gorgeous daily creativity, in your understanding about your ascent to humanity. And leave that 95% majority thinking and being and rise up to the rare air of world class and really get good at granularity. That's what makes the best hotels, the best entrepreneurs, the best teams, the market leaders, the best restaurants, the best cars, the best products, the best user experiences online. They are sweating the tiniest, seemingly innocuous details to create over time a user experience that creates a global base of fanatical followers.
And that's my favorite quote. To get the results only 5% of the population has, you have to do what 95% of the population is unwilling to do. It's my favorite quote. I love it. And I mean, that just really sums it up right there, right? Is what are you going to do? What are you going to do when to be that leader? What are you going to do the things that everybody else is not doing? Right. And that's what I'll leave you with today. On my last slide, I have a free app. It's pretty cool. So now that we are, since COVID, I don't know if anyone uses business cards anymore. But this one I discovered, it's called Hi Hello. And if you scan the QR code, you're going to get mine. And what you can do is you can set up your own. And so when you're doing things like this, or you're at a networking event, you can just, bye, Kate. You can scan, you can put this in a presentation, you can put it in the Zoom chat, and it's just a great way for people to connect with you, and they can create their own. It's pretty cool, and it's free. You can just add a picture to it. Again, I'm not a nerd. I'm not a techie person at all. That's why Hannah's doing the tech today, but it's really cool because someone will say, oh, can I connect with you? And I save it in my wallet on my phone, and you can just hold it up and someone can just connect and has everything in there. Will have like you can put your LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and all of your bells and whistles in there. So my last ask quickly, and again, if you're in business, I would encourage you to do the same thing, is if you kind of liked what you heard today, I would love a Google review specific to the 7 C's of leadership, especially as the book's going to be coming out. If you liked it, that'd be great. I would love for a little bit of an endorsement. You can just Google the Pink Coach and you'll see Google, and that would be wonderful. And if you don't, that's okay too. And I really thank you all for coming today, or thank you for signing up to listen. And any questions? We've got 1 minute to go. Look at that. Bye, Laura.
Thank you, Coach. That was amazing. Wonderful. And that's a synopsis of what coaching looks like with Claudine as well. So that was amazing. Thank you for all your wisdom.